Assalamu alaikum. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri. Wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Waj'al li waziran min ahli. Haruna akhi ushdud bihi azri washriku fi amri. Kay nusabbihaka kathira wa naskuraka kathira innaka kunta bina basira. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Welcome, dear friends. Inshallah, we will continue with studying the how we can read the Quran, inshallah. What the author is sharing about in the 25th word of his book, the words about the miracle of the Quran, and giving us some principles on how actually we can make it meaningful and purposeful when we engage with the Quran so that we go through a transformation in our lives and not just take the message of the Quran for information or as a historical event that happened in the past, but make it real relative to the meaning that I'm experiencing, how I'm living my life right now. So we're going to continue with the second flash. So just to recap, we did the author, there was a question being posed about there's so many meanings that can be found in the Quran. So how can one really know exactly all the meanings that are alluded to in certain verses of the Quran? And of course, the author mentions that everybody benefits according to how much they've developed themselves, according to their circumstances, their experiences. So, however, there could be many different meanings and many different understandings, but they all have to fit within the context of the Arabic principles of religion and the science of semantics, science of rhetoric, science of eloquence, right? So all these basically can bring one the meaning of the Quran. All right, so we'll continue with the second flash. So this is the extraordinary comprehensiveness in its meaning. So before it was the comprehensiveness of the Quran's words, how it was fits within the rules and how it conforms to the allegories, the figurative speech that the Quran uses many times in the when it in the verses as well as some of the prophetic stories narration. So there's a lot of figurative speech that is used there, allegories, metaphors that are used. So with that, that's why it opens up to a lot of these allusions to many different aspects. So many different meanings can be, we can get many different meanings from them. Right, so all the meanings, so as much as we can ex expound on them. So here, the extraordinary comprehensiveness in its meaning, right? So yes, together with bestowing from the treasuries of its meaning. So it's like an ocean, treasuries of its meaning, unlimited ocean. You can just extract as much as you want. So the sources for all the interpreters of the Sharia. So from this treasury, even those who are interpreting the Sharia or the law, they can also get their interpretations from the treasuries of the meanings of the verses of the Quran. The illuminations of all those seeking knowledge of God. So so everybody who is engaging, who's seeking knowledge of getting to know their purpose in life, who their Lord is, so they get illuminations from these verses. So extraordinary is an interesting word also, like miraculous, comprehensiveness in a way, right? So we're using mostly extraordinary, comprehensiveness, extraordinary in the meaning and the words. That's why the Quran is also labeled as a miraculous message that should really satisfy our hearts if we really properly understand, go through the verses and relate them to our practical living. Right? So the illuminations of all those seeking knowledge of God, the ways of all those seeking union with God. So all those seeking union with God, who want to be with God and be connected with God. So the paths of all the perfected from among mankind and the schools of all the scholars. So all the different schools from the different scholars are all coming from the treasuries of the meaning of the Quran. So the Quran has at all times been the guide of all of them and directed them in their progress, and it is verified unanimously by all of them that it has illuminated their ways from the treasuries of the Quran. So everybody can conform and confirm, basically, confirm that, yes, unanimously, that whatever they are benefiting, however they're relating it in terms of either it's the law or it's in the how to practice the schools of the scholars or to be a perfected human being using all human qualities for why they are given, the purpose of their existence. And of course, those who want to be close with their creator, to all benefit from the treasuries of the Quran. So any comment on the second flash before we move on to the third flash? All right.
Does it mean or I understood it, trying to understand still, whatever the way you, according to your need, your living conditions, your capacity, whatever the way you take in order to reach what the reality of this world is. Quran provides a means, guidance for you, regardless of, no, the Quran only guides for example, here, uh, Islamic laws included. No, some people want just, I want to know who the creator is and I want to connect my feelings with him. You can find guidance there. I am looking for the seeking union with God. It is a sensitive language. I'm looking at and I couldn't find. Still.
You mean in the original
Yeah,
word,
yeah. Uh, no, there
the
is no such
translation of,
union, seeking union with God. I mean,
I see.
the original words don't mean that. Ariflerin, mezakların, zevklerin. This translation is, I understood arifler. Arif, yani ehli marifet, ehli muhabbet. What does it mean? What do these words mean? Not seeking union with God. It is a little bit dangerous word to use it. How can you union with God? It's impossible. Union can happen only between equals. For example, one company unites with the other. That's how I understand union. Am I right in understanding union in this way? Making equally together.
I mean, that's one way, but there's also the meaning of like to unite with someone as a connection in a sense.
Now, but the seeking connection with God is safest word. Union with God is some extreme Sufi people claim that. Fena fillah. Uh, there is no such word here, original. But some people, some situation may be translated as union, but it means, fena fillah means what? I submit all my human abilities to to its source of existence, which is God. So I submit my existence to his existence, but it doesn't mean that you really unifying it. It means I don't exist, but I am with God now. The fenafillah. But what we should understand, connecting your feelings and submitting them to his guidance. So expecting everything to be provided by him as long as you ask from him to create it. That is what the original text mean. Did I make something a difference or the same thing you understood?
No, it's much clearer now. Thank you. Yeah.
Can you, repeat it so if someone listens from the recordings, they may not understand my language.
Okay, I'll try my best, but you kind of explained it very well in terms of union word that was used before is has a different connotation. So connection kind of fits well in terms of where my feelings and my senses, where are they coming from? So they need to be connected in a way to rather than the material aspect, but the meaningful aspect of the things that I engage with. And of course, it leads to who is the source and owner of those things. I mean, I can't claim to own any of my senses or my feelings. They are just given to me, and then I have to connect them back to whoever gave it to me. So that's how my connection with the one who gave those feelings to me goes back to him, right? So the way all those seeking connection with God, so
Submitting to his guidance.
to his guidance.
Yeah. Whatever he wants, I follow you. So connecting and submitting. Yeah.
God is seeking connection with God and submitting. I'll add that and submitting. To
Yeah. Maybe to his guidance.
his guidance.
Mhm. Now I am comfortable with it. Yeah, Feriha corrected it to his guidance. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. Yeah. So submitting to his guidance and the path of all the perfected from among mankind. So those who are truly working towards their purpose in existence, dedicating their lives,
Fulfilling their mission in this
mission,
world.
mission and existence.
Yeah. And all the human capacity is huge, At least they submit successively his capacity to him.
Hmm.
Not only, for example, yes, God, I understood. You created my feelings. That is stage one. Yes, God, I understood. I have to follow the rule you sent to me. That is another higher state. Go. Now, yes, God, I understand. You will guide my feelings to take the straight path. And I understand I use my free will only to choose what to suggest me. That is perfection, perfected from among mankind. And they all said Qur'an's guidance is really fitting my reality. Whatever the path they took, whatever the path of perfection they took, their experience says Qur'an's guidance is really truth, reality. I confirm it, I benefit from it.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you. All right. Now let's continue with the third flash. So this is the extraordinary comprehensiveness in its knowledge. For meaning, now knowledge. The Quran has caused to flow forth from the oceans of its own knowledge the numerous and various sciences of the Sharia, the multifarious sciences of reality, hakikat, hakikat, and the innumerable different sciences of Sufism, tariqat. Similarly, it has caused to flow forth in abundance and good order, the true wisdom of the sphere of contingency, the true sciences of the sphere of necessity, and the enigmatic knowledge of the sphere of the hereafter. One would have to write a whole volume to provide examples of this flash, and so, as mere examples, we point to the 25 words so far written. Yes, the veracious truths of all the 25 words are only 25 droplets from the oceans of the Quran's knowledge. If there are errors in those words, they spring from my defective understanding. So, so the Quran here to flow forth in abundance and good order. That's interesting. So similar to how every being can get benefit from the whatever they're looking for. Not everybody wants to take law, or there are people who also want to perfect themselves, right? And understand what their reality is. So that's why even in the knowledge part also, sphere of contingency, total, complete reliance or dependency or need of an absolute being, how to be satisfied and confirm that everything is from the blessings or the mercy of the creator of the universe, even the things that I don't like. So the sphere of contingency comes there. The true sciences of the sphere of necessity, the necessarily existent one, so necessity. And the enigmatic knowledge of the sphere of the hereafter. So all these, anybody who's looking for knowledge to understand what this contingency means, or what this sphere of an absolute being, the sphere of necessity, that he must definitely exist, Tawheed part, right? And then the knowledge of the sphere that definitely need to confirm that, yes, this is not the life that I'm meant for. I meant for the eternal life, not for temporary transient things that are leaving me. So seeking more knowledge in there. All right. Any comment on this flash? It's a very comprehensive flash as well.
You are right. Can I say something?
Of course, please go ahead.
No, you are right. It is very comprehensive. What we understand so far today, we read second flash and third flash. Now, Quran doesn't present to human beings only one uh, uni. How do they say? How is it said in English? Unilithic. Yes, unilithic method. Now it is as it is described here. For example, multifarious sciences of reality. Multifarious sciences of reality. Multifarious, what does it mean?
Those
What
are
does,
many different things, multifarious, not just one thing.
now, multifarious, literally, what does it mean?
Check multifarious.
M- Many
Great
different.
variety, diverse, multiplicity. So various kinds, basically.
Various,
Various kinds,
yeah.
multi
Uh,
multiplicity,
this
much
is
variety.
this is an interesting term. Multifarious sciences of reality. What we say generally, reality is one and absolute, right? That is for the creator, as it is described here as the sphere of necessity. Now, sphere of necessity has no multifarious reality. That's one absolute reality. We cannot really describe it, divide it, anything. But this is important. But from human side, to acknowledge the absoluteness of God, from my perspective, your acknowledgement, comprehension of absoluteness of the sphere of reality, necessity, it means wajibul wujud, sphere of necessity, the one who must exist in absolute terms. What you understood from your perspective, your capacity. What I understood from my another person, his or her capacity. Now, this is multifarious comprehension of reality. From my side, I understand it this way, you understand it this way, but both of us understand the absolute necessity of the existence of the creator. Is that very human? We mentioned about the same thing. For example, let's use a word, a very simple word. Now, you and I went to Chicago to visit, and then came back. If someone asked me, did you go to Chicago? Yes. How did you find it? I describe it in another way. and asks you, you described Chicago from another perspective. Now, this is very sensitive subject. Now, your description of comprehension of Chicago is different from mine, but Chicago is whatever it is. There is only one Chicago. Now, thousands of people go and see, millions, in fact, live there or see Chicago. Million ways of comprehension of Chicago, according to one's need, according to one's comprehension capacity, according to one's feelings. Now, when you are hungry, you go to a place where you have a wonderful dinner, and when they say Chicago, yeah, the place I really enjoyed the dinner. The other one looks at the streets, and especially in the town center, it is dirty. And the Chicago, no, 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 thank you. Why? That is one of my friends came to New York. I never, never will come to New York again, he said. He saw this, homeless people's situation, etc. It is really very much uh, not pleasant to see. Some people say, I want to live in Manhattan. That's it. But the reality is the same. Multifarious sciences of reality means sciences human comprehension. Why it is a very sensitive term? Because multifarious sciences of uh, reality may be misunderstood, said that reality may appear differently from its perspective to human beings. So it becomes the appearance of God uh, uh, changes. That reminds Trinity theology. No, not that. My comprehension within my capacity is different, but reality is unique and absolute. Absolute cannot appear this way, this way, this way. My comprehension of it is different. Did I make the difference clear?
Yes, so it's more like also the perception that one gets when they look at something, right?
Yeah.
It's a different perception. They look whatever their interest area is, so that's what they will highlight. Let's say I'm looking at a painting
Yeah.
and let's say I see a lot of green color, so that may remind me of a forest or a tree. To somebody else, it may remind something else.
Yeah. That is why. No, the human comprehension, maybe you said it a better word. Human uh,
Perception.
yeah. Oh, but comprehension also is good, but uh, maybe makes it clear to use the word comprehension
Yes,
and your word.
perception. Okay. Yeah,
Pers-
because knowledge, comprehension, I think they go together.
yeah.
So that's how multifarious basically works in terms
Yeah.
of it
No,
doesn't change whatever the thing is, but
no, it doesn't appear differently. It is absolute, finish, period. But my perception changes according to my capacity. So Quran uh, uh, allows people to have their own perception, their own comprehension, and accordingly they will be satisfied with it. That is why, as you were introducing today's discussion, you said Quran doesn't speak with mathematical terms like, this equals this. This it. No, open to interpretation. And it is so that without misleading it, everybody finds a niche in it. And all of them are correct. Yeah.
Subhanallah, yeah, that is incredible, actually. So all of them are correct, but they have to conform within the.
So we cannot say this. People who deal with fiqh
Uh-huh.
are wrong,
Right.
or Sufi tradition is wrong, or tafsir tradition is the only way. Hadith, some commentaries on the Quran concentrate on the what? Takes the verse they are studying and narrate all the hadiths, if there are, about this hadith, period. So they say we are explaining the Quran with hadith. That is correct, but at the same time, it doesn't fit me, because by narrating different hadith confuses me, because hadith narrations are from the perspective of the narrators, and every narrator has another perspective. So he sees it this way, the other one sees it this way. That is all correct, but it doesn't mean that it fits me. Some of them confuses it, and uh, I found that, for example, it doesn't fit me, but some people are very much satisfied with it, and they say, this tafsir is the only tafsir I trust, because he doesn't use his personal understanding, which is correct for him. Then I say, no, I want that interpretation as a result of these hadith narrations, and give me an interpretation that I may relate to my practical life. Oh, that's what I need. Somebody needs something else. The Quran is open all of this. This is just taking a positive attitude to every character of human being. That is the comprehension of the Quran.
Got it. So the sphere of contingency, it's true science of the sphere of necessity. We say Wahd al-Wujud, Wahdat al-Wujud, and the enigmatic knowledge of the sphere of the hereafter.
No, excuse me. Sphere of necessity is not Vahdet vücud.
Oh, sorry.
But
But
Vahdet vücud, absolute being.
absolute being.
Yeah, the being as the creator have to be necessity of the existence of the creator of the universe.
Right. Necessity of the creator, yes, and that him being absolute. All right. All right. Any other thoughts or comments? All right, we'll move to the fourth flash. This is the extraordinary comprehensiveness of the subjects it puts forward, together with bringing together the extensive subjects of man and his duties, the universe and the creator of the universe, the heavens and the earth, this world and the hereafter, the past and the future, and pre-eternity and post-eternity. The Quran explains all the essential and important topics from man's creation from seminal fluid till when he enters the grave. From the correct conduct of eating and sleeping to the matters of divine decree and determining. Well, from the creation of the world in 6 days to the duties of the wind blowing. And then he gives indicated by the oaths of by the winds that scatter, which is from the Quran, section 51, verse 1. And by the winds sent forth, which is from the Quran, section 77, verse 1. From his intervention in man's heart and will, indicated by comes between a man and his heart, which is a verse from the Quran, section 8, verse 24. And his intervention in man's heart and will comes between a man and his heart. An interesting verse. But you will not accept as God wills. 2. So this is from the Quran, section 76, verse 32. And the heavens rolled up in his right hand, which is from the Quran, section 39, verse 67. That is, to his holding all the heavens within his grip. From the flowers and grapes and dates of the earth described in, and we produce therein gardens of date palms and wines, which is from the Quran, section 36, verse 34. To the strange truth expressed by when the earth is shaken to its utmost convulsion. Quran, section 99, verse 1. From the state of the skies, and then he directed his will towards the skies, and they were smoke, which is Quran, section 41, verse 11. To their being opened up with smoke and the stars falling and being scattered in infinite space, from the world's being opened for test and examination to its closing, from the grave, the first dwelling of the hereafter. The first dwelling of the hereafter is through going through the grave. And then from the intermediate realm, the resurrection and the bridge to eternal happiness. From the events of the past and the creation of the body of Adam, you and me, and the dispute of his two sons to the flood, and the drowning of the people of Pharaoh, and the major events of most of the prophets. So this is continuing quite further, but let me review a little bit. The fourth flash is mentioning the comprehensiveness in the subjects that it puts forward. And these are the extensively topics of what the reality of man is, who he is, created from, as it says, seminal fluid. How come? It's amazing. How come I'm like this right now? Right? The whole life journey till he enters the grave, the past, the future. So mentions many past events and what the future, but there are universal events that I can relate to right now. Right? Mentions the heavens and the earth, the whole universe. Mentions who is the one who is the creator of the universe. Rabbul Alameen, Lord of the universe. This world and what this world points to, which is the hereafter, to all the qualities being manifested that we want it to continue forever. And then from the creation of world in 6 days, meaning that how in different stages, all these different things that are mentioned, to the duties of the wind blowing, like how the universe, the order that functions, who is organizing, arranging the whole wind, snow, rain, whatever is being experienced. So the winds that scatter, somebody is commanding it, ordering it to perform whatever it needs to perform. Right. Okay, so let's see from up to here, this paragraph, any comment anybody would like to add? Then we can go to the verses as well. It's interesting, the author, I mean, laid out all the different high level topics that the Quran kind of talks about, which we need to pay attention to as well, right? So he can arrange them properly, extensive such as man and his beauties. So man is responsible for his free will, right? He's left completely free. So what is the wisdom? There's some wisdom in that. That's why man's future is determined, the hereafter, based on how he is takes care of his free will, right? And realizing man is a created being who is completely dependent on being on his existence, and he's not in this body is not permanent, right? So he has to enter the grave with this body. And then it has some other matters on what is the correct conduct of eating, basically, who is recognizing that whatever we are eating is provided by him who is the provider, who is the sustainer, the nourisher, and sleeping to the matters of divine decree and determining. Wow. Any comments or thoughts? All right. How about the verses mentioning basically the oaths of, right? So there are oaths by the wind, by the by the fig, by the olive. So all these are mentioned and sworn. So pay attention to them. Right? But you will not accept God's will. Comes between a man and his heart, and but you will not accept as God wills. I would like to hear more on this verse if somebody can share their thoughts. His intervention in man's heart and will comes between a man and his heart. So the feelings are given to human beings. That's what I understand. And that's how the intervention comes, the feelings and the inspirations that come to human beings. Brother Ali, please go ahead.
I feel that the purpose of the text we are reading as the fourth flash is the purpose of this fourth flash is just at the beginning, the author stated here, extraordinary comprehensiveness of the subjects the Quran puts forward. Now, the author is listing the subjects. Of course, we wonder, what is this? What is this? Almost I just followed the rest of the text under the fourth flash, or comprehends, takes everything from the Quran. So we are not going to study the Quran studying one by one all of these listed items. This is a kind of context of a book. When you read the context of a book, content, I'm sorry. Content of the book. I mean, you don't discuss each subject there, but this is showing that this is the content. So if you want to study any specific topic mentioned here, as you said, you want to hear how he really interferes between man and his heart, that is, I appreciate the interest. Every topic is a matter of interest. But if we study them here one by one, then we have to study the whole Quran. It takes 10 years. So what I am expecting these are the topics, and he's going to mention even much more. You must be aware of it now, since you prepared for the class. Now, much more. So we will just see that in the Quran, every subject that human beings need guidance are dealt with. According to your capacity, you may have this subject interesting. Another person may be interested in another subject. But what we understand here, Quran is the guidance of a one who knows all the interest areas of human beings, but we have to be very careful. He is not teaching me how to make biryani. That is not in the content of the Quran. That is in the context of the way the universe is created. So it refers, if you want to learn how to make the biryani, go and refer to your worldly experiences. According to your test, you do it whatever. What I will give you. Who, pay attention, who prepared this biryani for you? All the material, all the taste that tongue enjoys it, and the need for it. I will speak to you the aspect of this matter that you cannot find in the world. So he speaks about the reality of food, eating, and who provided it. So that's why we have to see that, which kind of subjects are dealt with in the Quran. That's it. Divine determining, for example, creation of the world in 6 days. Can we talk about what does it mean, 6 days, creation of the world in 6 days? Why 6 days? Because the earth and the solar system created later on in the process of creation. There was no day. What are you talking? It needs another hours and hours of discussion. Yeah, that is why we just say, look, Quran comprehends all of them. You can be interested in 1, 2, 3, 10 of them. All right, go and study the Quran. It means Quran is comprehensive. About what? That is important. That we should talk at the end. What are these matters? Are all these subjects related to all human spiritual questions and human intellectual questions and about the the reality of existence and life. And why are we here? And how are we here? Who's organizing it? This kind of questions that the Quran deals with. And also, Quran at the same time deals, how can I interact with other people, on which values, criteria I have to arrange my life, my relationship with others, family relationship, relative relationship, neighborhood, others. That is under the guidance of the Quran. But something that I can learn from the creation is not included when it comes to the subject. Just go and look at the creation, take lesson from it.
Yep. Thank you. So let's continue with this. Right, so from the events of the past and the creation of the body of Adam and the dispute of his two sons to the flood and the drowning of the people of Pharaoh and the major events of most of the prophets, and from the pre-eternal circumstance alluded to by Am I not your sustainer? Which is from the Quran, section 7, verse 172. To the post.
You missed one thing, it's very interesting.
Uh-huh.
When you are listening, what did you miss? Uh, Let me see. Uh, Adam, where is Adam? Before this. Ah, the dispute of his two sons. Not dispute, quarreling so much that one of them killed the others. Jealousy. And
Right.
also evil, devil or Iblis. Iblis is jealous of Adam. Oh, it's very interesting. Yeah. Why? We have these tendencies. And also, if someone is successful, you remember the story, maybe, the story between the two sons of Adam. One of them, one of these two, uh, two of them offered sacrifices. Example, this is just example. One sacrifice obviously is accepted by God because it was sincere. The other sacrifice wasn't accepted by God because it wasn't sincere. The example is really very nicely described. And the one whose sacrifice was not accepted got jealous of the other one and killed him. What does it mean? If I am jealous of somebody, as if I have killed him in my life. In my life. It means, as far as I am concerned, he's dead. It means I'm not benefiting from it anymore. Anyways, anymore. Finish. So that is the example. It's a beautiful example. Beautiful. Not that really two sons story. No, no. It is my inner story. Inner, with one person, me. It is related to me. So if I see somebody is more successful than me, and just to just get uh, just envy or be jealous of that person, it means I have killed it. And if I gossip about some person within myself or with a group of people, as if I am eating the famous verse, his meat, dead meat. I killed him and eating his meat. This is just backbiting, uh, thinking about something bad. Though these are the subjects. So what we understand from here, what is going on within me, my, I mean, uh, positive side and negative side, satanic side and spiritual side. This is within me. So this kind of subjects, all of them are included and dealt with. And a way of salvation is not for doing this kind of uh, mistakes. uh, how are we going to solve it? That's why Quran mentions this. But there are many, there are all interesting. All of them are interesting. What subject is not interesting in the Quran, really?
Correct, you're right, yeah. And like we discussed about the flood, our own flood, and the drowning, our own drowning, the people of Pharaoh, but it's not about the people of Pharaoh. I mean, what does Pharaoh represent in our lives right now? The civilization, the advertisements that drowns us within the material world. Right? So there are many interpretations that can be understood from here. So you're right, these are many topics that we can take hours to discuss. The major events of most of the prophets, right? And from the pre-eternal circumstance alluded to by. So pre-eternal before my hereafter. So my whole life should be like, am I not your sustainer? I should have this, right? That's the verse. To the post-eternal occurrence expressed by some faces that day, which talks about the hereafter or my next moments, or will beam in brightness, looking towards their sustainer. So these are many topics that kind of need to be further discussed. All these fundamental important subjects are explained in a way befitting the all-glorious one who administers the whole universe as though it was a palace, and opens and closes this world and the hereafter like two rooms, and regulates the earth as if it was a garden, and the heavens as though they were a roof adorned with lamps, and beholds the past and the future as though there were two pages present in his sight like a single night and day, and looks on pre-eternity and post-eternity as though they were yesterday and tomorrow, in a form in which the two sides of a chain of events are joined together and touching in present time. So chain of events are joined together and looks. So everything looks, all the events are within whatever happens in my life, the whole journey. They're all connected. I don't know, this needs a little more elaboration or understanding. But here, let me see. So the one who administers the whole universe is much very easy, just like a palace or taking care of two rooms from our relative worldly experience, right? So we can visualize whoever is the owner of the universe, how he opens and closes the world. We don't see any example in this world for that, right? So that's why it's an all glorious absolute one who administers this. And the heavens and the earth as though they were like a roof adorned with lamps, beholds the past and the future. All is within his reach, his administration, his grasp, as though there were two pages present in his sight, to the past and the future, like a single night and day. Because to the absolute doesn't not subject to time and space. So in his sight, it's like a single night and day. And looks on pre-eternity, post-eternity, as though they were yesterday and tomorrow. In a form in which the two sides of a chain of events are joined together and touching in present time. So just as a master builder speaks of two houses he has constructed and arranged, and makes out the program and list and index of the matters involved, so the Quran is fitting for the one who makes the universe and arranges it and writes out and displays the list and index, and if one may say so, the program of the matters concerned with it. That makes sense. So just like a construction guy will talk about, speaks of the whatever, how he made the two houses, or lists all the index and what was involved. So the Quran is fitting to for the one with the makes the whole universe and arranges the whole universe, the whole existence, and writes out and displays the list and index, and if one may say so, the program of the matters concerned with it. The order that is functioning in the universe, the whole program of the universe. There is no sign of any artificiality or false display. And just as there is no trace of imitation or hint of any fraud, like speaking on behalf of someone else or supposing itself to be in someone else's place and speaking. So no artificiality or no sign of artificiality or false display. Just as there's no trace of imitation or hint of any fraud, like speaking on behalf of someone else or supposing itself to be in someone else's place and speaking. So too, with all its seriousness, all its purity, all its sincerity, the Quran, pure, shining, brilliant exposition declares, I am the word and exposition of the creator of the world. Just as the light of day declares, I came from the sun. Is that clear? Do we finish the paragraph? All right. Indeed, apart from the maker, so anybody wants to suggest anything if they want to talk about this, or we should continue? So these are all the topics as subjects, as Brother Ali was mentioning earlier, that is, as an example, we can understand that some subjects we would be very curious and would like to know what they are, and in terms of how they can guide me, right? Because the whole message is the word of the creator of the world. So I am the word and exposition of the creator of the world. So it's not like everything is just clear and straight and truthful. Nothing. There's no artificiality or falsehood. So purity and sincerity is also an aspect of the Quran. Pure, shining, brilliant exposition. So indeed, apart from the Maker who adorns this world with antique arts because valuable brings news from the past, right? Who adorns this world with antique arts and fills it with delicious bounties and scatters bountifully over the face of the world. Together with these wonders of his art, so many valuable gifts, setting them in orderly lines, spreads them out over the face of the earth. So spreads them out over the face of the earth. So each being is a work of art, his art. Apart from this bestower of bounties, who else could the Quran of miraculous exposition be fitting for? The Quran, so the whole, everything that we engage, see, witness in the universe, experience it, right? All are belongs to are wonders of his art, right? So he's the one speaking in the verbal explanation in the Quran as well. Who else could the Quran miraculous exposition be fitting for? The Quran, which fills the world with this clamor of salutation and acclaim, this resounding praise and thanks, and transforms the earth into a place for the recitation of God's names. Transforms the earth. So this is also an important aspect, subject, that how does the Quran do that? Transforms the universe, the earth, into a place for the recitation of God's names. A mosque and place for gazing on the divine works of art. Whose speech could it be apart from his? Who can claim ownership of it apart from him? Whose word could it be other than his? Whose light could the exposition of the Quran be, which solves the talisman of creation and illuminates the world? Other than the pre-eternal sons. So who could be that solves the mysteries, answers the questions of human beings, illuminates, gives meaning to the whole universe, to human beings included. Who has the ability to produce the like of it and imitate it? So produce the like of it and imitate it. Just like in the universe, nobody can claim to give existence to anything. So the meaning behind or the verses also acts just like the things in the universe being given existence. The message cannot be imitated or produced by any created being. In truth, it is impossible for the artist who adorns this world with his arts not to speak with man. I like this, not to speak with me. He must speak to me. Who appreciates his art. Since he makes and knows, he surely speaks. And since he speaks, it is surely the Quran which is appropriate to his speech. How should our Lord of all dominion, who is not indifferent to the way a flower is ordered, remain indifferent to a discourse which brings all his dominion to a clamor of salutation and praise? Who would he permit it to be attributed to others and be made as nothing? Yes, this whole fourth flash kind of touches upon all these different topics that we kind of need to go into if we have the time, inshallah.
Oh,
Amen.
to the end, what we read today. No,
Mhm.
no, yeah, now, how about this word? He speaks, since he speaks, it is surely the Quran which is appropriate to his speech. Now,
I really like
God
that phrase.
who does this? Who does all this universe, human beings, and human capacity, spiritual capacity, so comprehensive, and lots of matters are interest within the interest of human beings. All of them are comprehended. So the conclusion is the one who speaks in the Quran surely appropriately attributed, deals with in this Quran, surely appropriated to the creator of all this universe. So his speech, as his creation is so comprehensive, his speech must be also comprehensive. So and also I waited for the text to mention or not, although completely different topics, but there is no contradiction in its teaching. Like, how many kinds of creatures are there in the universe? You cannot count it, quadrillions or kinds of creation. Every galaxy has its own shape and its own way of existing. Every star in the galaxy has, and every planet around the stars, and all of them. Look at the moon as an example. For example, it has many, many functions at the same time. Now, the whole universe is like this. Is there any contradiction between any of two things in the universe? His speech must have the same quality. So while we are reading the Quran, we have to keep in mind that our mind must be related to the way the universe is created and the way the Quran is speaking. So if a person remains indifferent to discover what this book is saying, at the very towards the end, yeah, or that's all of them are in there. If a person is indifferent to the way a flower is ordered from different to discourse, which brings all his dominion to a clamor, salutations and praises. It means who can be really remain indifferent to the way or to the subjects that Quran deals with. So we understand that the Quran's comprehension as different matters are discussed there. Well, the greatest philosophers uh, can deal with one or two subjects, and they most of the time they contradict the reality. But the Quran deals, I don't know how many subjects we read now, but these are just the main topics. Subtitles, 1,000 subject is dealt, and there is no comprehension, as the universe has no contradiction. There is no contradiction, as the universe has no contradiction in its existence. So we must really take the Quran seriously and study it, inshallah, in future.
Inshallah. Thank you very much. Yeah, inshallah. So we can stop here for today.
Step by step, gradually.
Yes, inshallah. So a lot
Inshallah.
of actually, and we're covering some inshallah in our discussions. I see that. All right, so we'll stop here. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma alamtana innaka anta al-alimul hakim. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bi hurmati Surah al-Fatiha.